want to point out, thank you, Ellie, for doing that. I want to point out a couple things before Sammy and Connor take over. I would say probably 75% of you are here for the class that we had, the 3 sessions that we had dedicated in November in class to air quality. We took your input as well as received some input from professionals that we work with in the program and have done some updates. Sammy and Connor are going to talk to you about those updates and talk you through those. I just want to point out specifically for the WaySafe and the IFA Trenton assessments, we won't be doing these upgrades yet. We'll be using the same templates that were used for the IAC assessments last fall. So those teams don't have to worry about these updates. Basically, as you'll hear from Sammy and Connor, the updates will be in place by the time Mapleton advances to finalization and the Blanding Hospital. So for those teams, you'll basically be the first 2 teams that will be employing these new techniques for the IAC assessments. And I think my voice is about to run out. So Sammy and Connor, I will let you guys take it from here.
All right. Ellie, do you mind if you give me screen sharing capabilities?
Sure. I think you can share right now.
All right, awesome. All right, so I mean, there's a few updates, kind of just like Julie said about the air quality. I'll go through it a little bit as well, kind of go through the instructions. I'm still working on this, but it's just about done. It's just a few minor like details that need to be tweaked here and there. So the way that we're going to do this is basically the same. You've got your data insert sheet. So as before, what you would do is you would write the name of your AR in the red box. So let's say this is a lighting AR. And then you would put your gas savings and electricity savings in the blue box by month, in the blue boxes by month. And then if you have gas savings, you need to know the type of boiler that you have. Not the boiler, sorry, the burner. You need to know the type of natural gas burner that you have. And that's basically put into these categories that I have written down with a little bit of help. Basically, there's large burners and small burners, and then a few interesting type burners. So large burners are burners that will burn more than 100 MMBTU per hour. We don't see very many of these, but there are some. So that's something that people will need to be looking for in the assessments. If you have natural gas savings, you need to be looking at the burner. I also have some questions that I have to help guide a little bit that are still in the works, and I will show you that list later with also the intent that they probably will be updated as we get more feedback and more recognition. So it's large, greater than 100 MMBTU per hour, small, less than. You've also got the T fires, which are tangential fire. Basically, if the burner shoots natural gas in tangentially to the burner, then you have a T fire burner. So that's just something to look for as well. Res is residential burner. This is for like just residential buildings and stuff like that. And then if you absolutely can't find any information, most likely you'd be using the general less than 100 MMBTU per hour, so number 11. So that's just kind of a recap for those of you that have seen this before, and then also a quick little summary for you guys to for you new guys. So after you've gotten all of this entered in, we have this little fun. Oh, I should have shared my actual screen. Hold on. Stop share. Okay, this should work now. All right. So that link I just clicked on that's in the calculator will send you to this map. So you have to then determine where on your map your facility is using this base. So say I had something in Salt Lake City, I would be in the Wasatch Front ozone. And same with the Uinta Basin. If I had something in Vernal, there are a few that are on this little that are in both. That has been upgraded. There is a tab for that now. So going back, once you know where your facility is located, you have the choice of these 4 tabs: the General tab, the Wasatch Front Zone tab, the Uinta Basin Zone tab, or both, as in both Wasatch Front Zone and Uinta Basin Zone. So General is for anything outside of the 2 zones, Wasatch Front for in the Wasatch Front Zone, and so on and so forth. So say I had something in St. George. That's outside of the 2 zones. So I would use the General tab. So once you've got the General tab, you can see that you've got a list of tables. For this one, I have both a gas and electricity saving. So I would have to use this table in my reporting. If I had gas only, I could use this table, or electricity only. So these 3 tables are for each AR, and you can do multiple AR for the calculator. So yeah, so that's basically it. One quality of life update that has been done is that it should round to 3 on its own. I saw Michael over there, very excited about that. So yeah, so that will now round on its own. So you no longer have to worry about that. So some other things that have been changed, the regulators have asked us to basically do a value for electricity in a range. So that's what this is basically. It's the range from our lowest estimate up to our highest estimate. That's just something that the regulators wanted. But yeah, so these are all ready to go. So we're very excited about that. Also, we have the total table, which has the total assessment, just like before. I've also done it so that if you have only gas or only electricity, you can then update that as well. You can just use those instead of using all of it. I know that was another pain in the butt for some people. So that's most of it. That's basically it. Just kind of a short thing. Just like before, copy and paste this into your tab. So yeah, that's about it on mine. We've also got some new things that Sammy is going to talk about with regard to the temperature savings. We remember last time that you remember last time that we have that when we were doing this in the fall, that there were a lot of people wondering how to do temperature dependency. So Sammy, I'll put it on his calculator page so he can talk a little bit about that and how to use that.
Awesome, thanks, Connor. And I can go ahead and share my screen actually, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, of course.
Sweet. Oh. All right. So let's go here. So I'm going to talk just briefly about temperature scaling. And the basic principle behind it is the fact that a lot of natural gas profiles at facilities that we go visit look something like this. You can see in the winter months, December, January, February, there is a lot of natural gas usage because it's cold. And then in the summer months, there's a lot less. And this can be kind of broken down into two pieces. There's a base load that you can calculate based on those summer months that they use year round, the amount of natural gas they use year round. And then there is an additional load that varies, and it corresponds with the monthly temperature, average monthly temperature pretty well. And so this is just an example from a recent assessment where the summer average was calculated for the base load using the months of June, July, and August. And so that average was used and multiplied by 12 so that you can get the yearly base load. And then the heating usage right here is all the extra natural gas that was used. And that would be all this natural gas that's above that base load. And so that can be seen. We can use these numbers in our calculator. So this is just a little tool that will help us so that we can calculate these natural gas savings using a base load and a varying load that varies by temperature. And so the base load in this example was 1816 MMBTU per year. So we can put that in here as our base load for the year. And then as you can see, it's split it up into each month. If there's no varying load, then it would just be the base load for the year. And that comes out to the same number we got here. And then the varying load was 1703.3. And if we input that, then what it does is we're using the average temperature and scaling the amount of natural gas used in each of the months by that amount, or based on the temperature. And so as you can see, in January, February, March, and November, December, the colder months, there's a lot more natural gas being used than in the summer months. And in the summer months, it's a lot closer to that, just that base load level. And this is more accurate than what we had done in the past, because in the past we just divided the total natural gas used by 12 so that we could cut it up into each month. And if we did that with this example, we'd end up with about 300 MMBTU per month. So we'd have a flat line right here, but we can see that the way the natural gas is used, there's more in the winter and less in the summer. So this lets us predict emissions more accurately because emissions are important during different seasons. And so that plays into how our emissions are calculated in the air quality calculator. And the only other thing that could be important in this is it's defaulted to have every month included in the variable savings or the variable natural gas usage. But if, for example, no natural gas is used in June, July, and August, you can select no on these options. And that way, none of the varying load goes towards those months, and it will only go towards the other months. So this is a tool that will be part of the newer version of the air quality calculator that we can all start to use soon.
Thank you, Sammy. Yeah, so like he said, it's going to be in the calculator. In fact, I've already transferred it over into the new calculator. So let me just share my screen and I can show you. All right. So as you can see, we now have it under NG temperature savings, standing for natural gas temperature savings. And it does exactly the same thing. You can just go in, write your stuff. You can say no, yes. And basically what you do is after you get these values, you just copy and paste them over into the data insert sheet. And that will be an easy way for you guys to do that temperature scaling without a lot of hassle. So we've really tried to take into account all of your feedback that you've given us. Obviously, there will probably be some more hiccups as we go along, and we'd love to hear any more feedback as that comes down the line. Also, another thing that I wanted to show just really quick was a small list of questions that I have felt needed, that I feel like need to be asked when looking at natural gas burners. So these are the 3 questions that are like really key that you really need to have an answer to before you do a natural gas AR. So what is the energy flow rate? Because then you'll be able to decide between large and small. Are there any controls on the burner, such as that lower critical emissions, such as NOx? If so, what are they? The reason why for that is because if you look at the calculator, I just need to share my actual screen again. I'm sorry, guys. If you look at the calculator, you've got low NOx burners, but you've also got low NOx burners with flue gas recirculation. And if you've got that, it'll change which type of burner you use. So that's a really important question as well. And then in regards to Sammy's new processing temp, you need to know if this is for facility processes only, heating only, or both, because that will obviously affect how you use Sammy's natural gas temperature scaling. If it's only for facility processes, you could probably get away with using that flat line with just 300 every month. But if it's both, you're going to need that base load and that varying load that Sammy talked about. And if it's heating, you're just going to have that varying amount because there is no base load in the summer months. So that's about it for the calculator and all the questions. Carrie, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes, I did want to add one clarification to question number 1. That is going to be, it's actually the boilers or the natural gases rated firing rate.
Rated firing rate, yes. Thank you.
No problem. And then we are also looking for feedback from students as you start to do these assessments. If you think, oh, shoot, we should have asked this before, let us know and we'll add it to the checklist. So we're working to refine these things. I think that was all I had to add. Good job.
So that's about it for kind of the upgrade. We're excited to get this one started.
That's the input firing rate, correct?
It's the rated firing rate. So it's Carrie,
Sure, I'll jump in. Yeah,
Yeah.
so typically any kind of natural gas unit is going to have a rated firing rate. So it may, in fact, and it will over time, it's going to fire probably less than that rated firing rate. But that rated firing rate is what we use to pick the correct emission factor. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And usually that'll be part of the specs on the boiler or the natural gas unit.
Matt, if the nameplate has, both input and output ratings, you are correct. It's the input rate.
And then I did also want to mention that our goal is to have this ready in the next week or 2. We'll give it to all of you. You can give us some feedback. We'll make some refinements, but the goal is to use these for all assessments that took place or will take place in 2022. And correct me if I'm wrong on that, Mariah and Julie.
That is my plan moving forward. So my Utah Valley Hospital team will be the first ones to start using this.